Hey, Brendan here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Got another 2025 rookie stock report show for you here today. Going to be joined again by Jason DeRionzo, my podcast co-host. And, it's semifinals week of college football. The regular season of the NFL just ended and it is knee deep, man. We are knee deep watching film in the 2025 rookie scouting season. So we're going to be doing this show each and every week as we watch more film. We got some great names we're going to talk about today. Cam Scadaboo, Isaiah Bine, Elic Ayomanor, Jalen Knoll, one of my faves. So, help me get to 15,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. I'm almost there. Hit that subscribe button. Help me grow the channel. We are dedicated in helping you with your 2025 rookie drafts coming up in the next few months. Enjoy the show. Let's start with our 2025 rookie stock report for this week. And I'll kick us off, Jason. And I guess if there's one player whose stock went up this week, if we didn't include Cam Scadaboo, in this discussion, we probably wouldn't be doing our jobs properly. But man,
right.
the last two games have been, he has been the highlight. He won the MVP of the last game. I forget who it was against, but I actually did a film review for the NFL draft, big board subscribers of that game. And I did his Arizona State game versus there was another game. The last two games I put out on the YouTube channel as a scouting film for everybody. And I got a lot of great comments. And it's funny because the comments on the scouting films on the YouTube channel, there's people that think he's, RB3 of the class, and some thinks he's a late day 3 guy. So, everybody has a different opinion on this guy. And we're going to be doing one of our rookie reports tonight. Is we're going to get in depth on Cam Scadaboo, but I'll tell you, there's a lot to like about this guy. He is absolutely beloved. He's 5'11", 215. And I'll tell you what, he doesn't look 5'11" to me. He looks like he's 5'9", maybe. At most, but
he doesn't look 215 to me. Like, I'm 217, 219 right now. He's much thicker than I am. So I would not, like, 230. I would not be out of the question for me. 225, 230. I swear to you.
Yeah, well, regardless, stock up on Cam Scadaboo. The guy had just two absolutely tremendous games. Like I said, he won MVP. Shows a lot of great skill sets that we're going to get in depth in here shortly. But the physicality, the contact balance, right off the top,
it's all there.
Is exceptional. We're going to get a little bit into his receiving profile too, which I think is underrated. The guy actually led college football running backs in receptions. Of the 25 running backs that are headed to the NFL draft, the top 20, 25 or 30 running backs, he by far leads the receiving yards of running backs. Can you guess who number 2 is, real quick? Would you have any idea who number 2 would be?
I would think it's Ashton, but I'm probably wrong.
Marion Hampton.
Really?
Yeah.
We got big pass catching running backs. This is gonna be a fun class.
Yeah. So not to get off the topic here, but yes, Cam Scadaboo, man, he's got to be on the list. We're gonna do a deep dive here shortly on him, but and go check out the YouTube channel as well, and go check out that scouting film. You can break it down, but a lot of good traits that I'm looking forward to diving deeper into his film.
Yeah, me too.
Who do you got as a stock up player this week?
I got Jackson Dart, Ole Miss
another
quarterback who just completely lit it up against Duke. It's so hard to figure this kid out because there's so many times on film where I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's looking at. And then he'll just make 2 or 3 spectacular throws, great reads, drop it right into the breadbasket of his receiver in stride downfield. And it's like, okay, I don't know what to make of you, but this past game, he was putting on a clinic and he looked phenomenal. And this is a kid who's absolutely battle tested. He's played a lot of college football, very highly productive, and a very underrated dual threat runner who can get the job done on the ground too. So Jackson Dart, with so many question marks we have at this quarterback position as of right now, the way he played in this last game, in a big highlighted game, definitely a stock up.
I'll be honest with you. I think it's going to be fascinating to see just how, with all of these quarterbacks being more mid than any kind of elite, guy at the top, things usually change as we get closer to the NFL draft. There's a lot of, and I love this call. I love this call as a stock up because, after that last game that he had, he threw for like 5 touchdowns, no picks. He certainly got the yardage. He certainly looks the part, size, got the mobility. People are always going to question that Ole Miss kind of offense and how that translate, going back to our old, corral days, right? But
Right.
hey, he has to be a stock up this week. I mean, after that performance, there's people thinking that he might sneak into the first round, but we'll have to see. We got 3 months worth of film grinding to do. My second stock up player I'm going to talk about this week is a player that I've been high on for a while. I put another video out on him on my YouTube channel. Go check that out as well. Jalen Knoll, wide receiver from Iowa State. Reminds me of like a Jaden Reed, Brandon Ayuk kind of skill set. Watching this guy, plays primarily on the boundary, but played in the slot as well, man. But this guy is physical. He's 5'11", 200 pounds. Just has a really, I feel like, a very, very good route running tree. I just like his, with the ball in his hands, he can get those all important yak yards that we're looking at. So I encourage you, go take a look again on the YouTube channel here of his film that I just put out. And I think you're going to like him. I spent a lot of time on that film cutting up, there's probably got like 30 plays that I kind of cut up and went through and kind of did a narrative on that. But I really like him. I think he's just outside. He's like my number 9 or 10 right now on my big board, wide receiver big board for the 2025 class. But I continue to like what I see. He's one of these versatile wide receivers where he's not like one of these big boundary guys, but he just like can win anywhere on the field. And I feel like that's the kind of players that the NFL is looking for right now. The guys that are physical enough to win on the boundary, get off press coverage, but then have the route running chops to really beat guys inside and manipulate defenders. And he's got real strong, solid hands too. So I really, really like Jalen Knoll. He's another stock up player. After I did my film review, again, when I go back and look at all my wide receivers on my big board, he rises up a little bit. So that's why I selected him as a stock up player this week.
I love it. That's great. Definitely a guy I got to take a closer look at. My second guy who's a stock up is going to be, can't believe it. What am I doing? Ohio State quarterback Will Howard. And I got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, this kid has been playing pretty impressive
Yeah.
over the last few weeks. Is it the fact that he has 3 first round wide receivers and 2 high caliber running backs that are helping him? Possibly. But when I look at the body of work and I'm watching how he played in this last game against Oregon, he's layering the ball over linebackers and safeties, which is really impressive. He's making out route throws flawlessly to Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Buka. He's throwing his receivers open. So he's basically allowing them to gain additional yards by not throwing the ball behind them or down at their toes. He's putting it in perfect placement, and he's showing that he can make proper reads and get the ball out quickly. And he's got pretty solid pocket navigation for when defenses are collapsing the pocket. He knows to step up instead of retreat. I kind of like what I'm seeing. It's good to see a 5th-year quarterback who played 4 years at Kansas State and now at Ohio State, showing that he can be that true leader and that veteran with that presence on the field and elevate the players around him. He's got 79 total touchdowns in his career. I think it's time to at least give him a little bit credit and say that he's probably a stock up over some of these guys that have not played to the caliber he is. And he's in the playoffs, man. He's leading this team what could be all the way. So got to give him credit.
You think any chance he's a day 2 guy? Excuse me.
You know what? I don't know what to make of Will Howard until I really break down his film, but live gameplay in these games, I mean, when he layers the ball over these defenders,
Yeah.
that's impressive to me. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know, but
yeah, the
we'll
bottom
find out.
line is that you can have the best receivers in the world, but if you're getting the ball to them where you need to get them and you're winning ball games,
Right.
you must be doing
That's
something
the way
right,
it should be.
right?
That's your
So,
job. So
so there's our 4 stock up players that we want to talk about this week. So let's talk about some stock down players. I would talk about Savion Williams, TCU wide receiver. Um, Again, as I watch more wide receivers, I'm just trying to find where this guy's going to be a fit. Now, I was taking a peek at Mel Kiper's top 10 wide receivers he put out just after Christmas, and he's got this guy number 7 in the class, which makes me think to myself, maybe it's something that I'm not seeing. But he's 6'5", 225 pounds. Played a lot of running back this year. We've spoken about him in the past, but I'm just concerned about his size and his space creation ability from a wide receiver. I mean, he's kind of like a light tight end at 225 pounds. But I guess my question is, unless you're like a really elite route runner at 6'4", 6'5", like how do you win in the NFL? If I see a big physical receiver, But when you watch his route running, and I did a film on the YouTube channel, so go check it out as well, where I kind of broke down his film. Really great physical receiver with the ball in his hands for like working around the line of scrimmage, and if you wanted to do some sweeps and some short inside breaking routes, and let him work because of his physicality, and he just punishes people. But when I watch him at the catch point when he's going down vertical, he just doesn't look really comfortable, like going up and getting the ball. Kind of bobbles the ball a lot. So, as I watch more players like Jalen Noel, who we just spoke about, and I watch other players who just can get in and out of breaks and just create space, that's what it comes down to for the wide receiver position for me, is just, how do you create space for yourself? I'm a little concerned about Savion Williams being nothing more than like a gadget type player, maybe like Cordarrelle Patterson was, for all of those years where he would kind of played out of the backfield,
Right.
had a couple good years. And of course, he's got the TCU, I guess blemish, when you've got that, can't scout the helmet, but we've been burned by TCU wide receivers recently. So Savion Williams is my first stock down player this week.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. He was always supposed to be the next guy up after Quentin Johnson took off to the NFL, and the inconsistency was just too much.
Mhm.
For a guy of his size, you expect a little bit more, so I think that's a good call. And I'm going to go with a guy with size as well, and that's going to be Stanford wide receiver Elic Ayomanor. Some of you might be saying, "Well, why you got him as a stock down?" Well, Brandon, you and I watched the film, and
Mhm.
I am concerned that for his listed size, what 6'2", 210 pounds, I first off, drops were an issue with me. He has 6 drops every single season. There's 2 seasons that he has in college. But he also played a lot softer than I expected for a guy of his size. I mean, there were some games where, above the rim, he just looked like a roll of Downy how soft he was. So I just don't know what to make of a guy like this. He's got 12 touchdowns in his 2 years of production. He's got 1,000-yard season. This was kind of a down year. And you know what? A lot of that had a erratic quarterback play. We just got
Mhm.
done talking about the quarterback position, how important it is to get the ball to your receiver. But even still, I want to see good adjustments, a contortionist. With a guy of this size, you should be catching almost everything that comes your way, and you should have that catch radius. And we just didn't get a chance to see that. Alec Manor, I think he might have made a mistake going into the NFL, and for that, I got to stock down.
Yeah, when we did watch that film, he wasn't creating a lot of space, when
Oh,
he was running
no.
his
He
routes,
had
and
guys
that
at his hip. That's a good point too.
and that was like a concern of ours. He's again one of these
Right.
bigger receivers that you've got to be able to create space. So I like the call because right now I'm seeing, me, I love my mock drafts, right? I mean, this guy is round two in almost every mock draft that I see. So I
Wow.
guess
Yeah,
you and
I'll
I
say
are
that.
probably just maybe not as high on him as others at this moment. But that's why you got to watch all the film and not just the. I'm sure there's 5 or 6 fantastic body control, clips of him catching the ball. But you got to kind of look over the body of work overall to really get a good
Right.
scope of these players, which is what you and I we focus on and do all the time. So my second stock down player I want to talk about is Isaiah Bond right now. I just started watching him. Explosive player. I like it. Now,
Mhm.
Evan Stewart, we just kind of spoke about earlier, is kind of going back to school.
Yep.
Isaiah Bond, I don't believe has declared for the NFL draft yet. Obviously they're still playing college football, so I don't think he's probably going to wait till after his next game or whatever. But I'm just looking, the guy doesn't offer anything on special teams. He's never returned a punt or or a kickoff in college football. I think he had 1 punt return in 3 years. 2 years at Alabama, first year 220 yards, 1 TD. Second year at Alabama, 668 yards, 4 TDs. All right. He's had moments when he was at Alabama, which is great. He
Mhm.
comes to Texas for 2024, 532 yards and 5 TDs. So 670 yards out of a 3-year career is really all he has done production wise. Explosive player on the field, I get it, but if he's that explosive and that good of a player, I guess my question is why aren't you putting up monster games, occasionally? He's had moments where he's had good games, but then there's games where he kind of like disappears. So I don't know. I see this talk still. He's a round one, player, and I just don't see it. So for that reason, he is a stock down. Still in my top 10, but he's more closer to 10 than he is one for me right now.
He's got a good skill set, but the inconsistency is definitely a concern. Durability, it was like that might be a concern as well. So I think that's a good call. I do like him. I think he can separate, but at the same time, the inconsistency and where he kind of just fades away out of the game plan, where Matthew Golden only increases that role, that's
Exactly.
definitely a concern.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's definitely a concern. And I'm gonna go with my next stock down guy, and that is gonna be another quarterback that I kind of really started liking. And it's not that I don't like him, but I just named off two quarterbacks that are elevating themselves. But Dillon Gabriel with this last game didn't really show that he could kind of elevate the offense with what he was doing. Now he was missing Evan Stewart. Tez Johnson was in and out of the offense. Terrence Ferguson was kind of periodic with everything, and he didn't have his starting running back in Jordan James. So that could possibly be a problem for him. But he's also got an uphill battle. He's going to be 25 by the end of next football season. He's
Mhm.
undersized. So it's hard to make out what Dillon Gabriel can be at the next level. I do like a lot of what he's done. He's got over 18,000 passing yards in his college career, which is crazy. So there's a lot there, but I think other quarterbacks are elevating themselves where he just might be staying stationary. And for that, he's got to be a stock down if Will Howard is elevating his stock.
Yeah, I know you were kind of high on him as much as like 2 months ago, and he was lighting it up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it's
but
not that he hasn't, but I think it's gonna be competitive with these evaluations here,
yeah,
and I just
without a
don't know where
doubt.
to put him. Yeah.
All right, I get it, man. Certainly understandable. So there's our stock report for this week.